Quintero, Weaver, Yusefian.
Here.
Mayor Najarian.
Here. I would like to invite up Cub Scout Pack 160 from Glendale with the support of Troop 303 from the La Crescenta Boy Scouts to please come forward and lead us proudly in our flag salute, our Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. How are we doing there? Gather around, squeeze in. There you go.
Okay, Patrick.
Whenever you're ready.
All those in uniform salute. All those in civilian clothes, put your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. True.
Please remain standing for the invocation. On this day in 1938, Orson Welles' The War of the Worlds aired on CBS Radio. The belief that the realistic radio dramatization was a live news event about an alien invasion caused widespread panic among many listeners. Let us use this day before Halloween as a reminder that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Rudyard Kipling once wrote that of all the liars in the world, sometimes the worst are our own fears. Let us pray that as a nation, as leaders, as a community, here in Glendale, we question and confront that which we are afraid of, rather than allowing our insecurities and our doubts control our actions and thoughts. Give us the strength to fight the temptation to give in to fear. Give us the resolve to act rationally and deliberate with honesty and open hearts. May the decisions that govern the city never be made out of fear, but rather by sober and honest examination of the facts and deliberation over all of the options that would benefit our community and its residents. We pray for a safe and uneventful Halloween, and may all our celebrant children enjoy their evening safe and sound. Amen.
And before the scouts are dismissed, would you please introduce yourselves one by one? And I'm happy to present you a little token of appreciation on behalf of the entire City Council and staff. And why don't you start?
Let's
and
go
we'll,
back. Look over here. Say your name into the microphone.
Okay. There you go. Say your name.
My name is Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick. Congratulations. And let's go one by one. The young man.
My name is Andrew.
Congratulations.
You can say your last name, boys.
Yes, you can
Okay.
say your
Parker.
last name. It's safe.
My name's Mateo Sebastian de Souza.
Thank you, Mateo. Next.
My name is Louis Ho.
Thank you, Louis. Oh, he can take.
Here, shake the mayor's hand. There you go. Shake the mayor's hand, boys.
My name is Joshua Alona.
Congratulations, Joshua. Thank you for coming.
My name is Andrew Carl.
Thank you, Andrew. Good luck with your scouting.
My name is Giovanni Smith.
Thank you, Giovanni. Congratulations.
My name is Mark Alahar.
Congratulations, Mark.
My name is Michael Castano.
Thank you, Michael.
My name is Cole Terrazas.
Cole, congratulations.
My name is Nicholas Harris.
Congratulations, Nicholas.
My name is Sebastian Medina.
Thank you, Sebastian.
My name is Sean Fuqua.
Thank you, Sean.
My name is Alexander Bantug.
Thank you, Alexander. My son's name is Alexander. Before we get to the 303,
Scott Dillinger, thank you very much.
congratulations. You can
Thank you.
wear a pin also.
John Carl.
John, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Tom Alona.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, we are very happy to be here and greet all of you again. I have boys that are getting their, working on citizenship in the community and communication merit badges. I am called on this a lot, but these are boys that I've worked directly with. That's where my son received his Eagle and 3 Palms, so I'm very, very proud of Troop 303, part of Verdugo Hills Council. So we want to introduce the boys. Come up and say your name.
My name is Hunter Sammeyer.
Congratulations, Hunter. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
My name is Tae Kim.
Tay, thank you very much.
My name is Joey Chang.
Joey, good luck in scouting.
My name is Paul.
Paul, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming down.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Starbird.
before Ms. Hammond steps down, can you tell us how many years you've been doing this?
My son joined a pack with Mr. McFall I believe it was in '86 when they were first grade, yeah. And so ever since then, I have not left scouting.
That's
and I don't
wonderful.
intend to leave scouting. Everyone says, well, haven't you left yet? Just like I'm still substitute teaching, because I have a goal for something. But anyway, I love scouting, and I'm very proud of these new boys. One of the boys has already received 2 merit badges and will receive a couple. He's only been in the unit since August.
How was Mr. McFall?
How is Mr. McFall as a leader?
How was he as a scout?
He was an excellent scout. Because he was an Eagle Scout, that's why. And we're very proud. No, you weren't. Well, you were a scout, though. Yeah, okay. Listen, always a scout. Always been a scout, you're a scout. I'm sorry, I gave you higher accolades. Well, go for it.
Mr. McFall. The next item, please.
Or you might want
Oh,
to
the
read that.
report.
The report.
I'm sorry.
The agenda, Mr. Mayor and Council, for the October 30th, 2007 regular meeting of the Glendale City Council was posted on Thursday, October 25, 2007, on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you.
Presentation.
Yes, let's go to the next item, and we'll...
Presentation and appointments at 3A is agenda preview for the meeting of November 6, 2007.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure many of you have already heard the sad news that our former mayor and councilwoman Ginger Bremberg passed away Friday evening, October 26th. We have several things to say, but I'd like to go to my colleague, Mr. Yusefian, who probably knew her the best of anyone up here. And Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I would like to adjourn tonight's meeting in her memory. Number one, a few things that I think some people know, but some who don't. Ginger was born and raised in Tracy, Minnesota, and attended Beloit College in Wisconsin. She and her husband, Bruce, a computer engineer with UNIVAC, lived in several large U.S. cities before arriving in Glendale in 1975. As many of you have known Ginger, you would have thought that she was born and raised in Glendale because she acted as a native, even though she wasn't. Ginger became very involved in her new community and was elected to the city council for the first time in 1981. By the way, she ran a time before, and even though she had over 8,000 votes, she lost. So this was her second run in 1981, and she was elected. She subsequently served 4 separate times. Those terms were from 1981 to 85, 85 to 89, 89 to 93, and 97 to 01. She took 4 years of hiatus. She took off for 4 years, and it just was too much in her blood, so she had to come back one more time. She served as mayor in 1983 to 84, 87 to 88, 91 to 92, and 1999 year 2000. She was very influential in creating and establishing recycling and waste management policies both in Glendale and statewide, and served on the California Waste Management Board and on the Los Angeles County Task Force on Integral Waste Management. City of Glendale recognized her efforts in this area and dedicated the city's integrated waste facility in her name in 2006. She was fondly known around the city as the Queen of Trash. And I must tell you, she was given an option between this or a library, and she picked the integrated waste management facility. She loved those guys. Many of you don't know this, but while she was in city council, once a month she would get up at 5:30 in the morning, go to a donut shop, buy several dozens of donuts, and show up at the yard at 6 o'clock. So before the guys left for work, they would have donuts and coffee, and she provided that for the guys. And those guys loved her like they was their own mother. In addition to serving Waste Management Board, she also served on the National Historic Preservation Commission. She was appointed by our former President Ronald Reagan to that position. She served as the president of the division of the League of California Cities and on the board of directors of California League of Cities. I just want to pause in here for a second and give you a little bit of a story about Ginger that a lot of you didn't know about. When Ginger was the president of the Los Angeles division of League of California Cities, there was a meeting that was taking place, and Ginger needed to go to that meeting. And she had heard that we had confiscated a Ferrari. This is what the police department had confiscated, a Ferrari, as a drug deal what had come up, and they have picked that up. So she called and said she would like to have somebody drive her to the league in that Ferrari. So she got dressed up, nice outfit, got in that Ferrari, and they showed up in front of the league meeting. So just imagine the look and on the faces of all the people as the doors open, and there is this fancy Ferrari, and Ginger walks right out, and all the different people from different cities, they go, "What is that?" She goes, "Oh, city car." Ginger loved her dogs. I mean, she really loved animals in nature, but nevertheless, she loved dogs more than anything else. She owned both Labrador Retrievers and Newfoundlanders. And if you know what Newfoundlanders are, those are huge dogs. She had two huge dogs called Albert and Victoria. She would actually take them to Minnesota every time she went to Minnesota. They had heads, and I'm not exaggerating, they were this big. And they were the most gentlest dogs. Each one of those dogs weighed more than Ginger did. And they were very gentle, and she loved them to death. Ginger also served many days, and also with her friend Betty Evans, a former Glendale City treasurer, hosted a popular dog show on GTV6 for several years. And Betty's here, and I don't know if Bill's here, but Betty's here, and Bill, who was basically an angel in disguise. I think he hid his little wings. Over the past year or so, while we were very busy, Bill went there every morning, every afternoon, every evening, and helped Ginger while she had some issues. He was her caretaker, and may God bless him. He was fantastic. So I want to thank Bill and Betty for doing that. She had several good friends that went there to check on her. Some of them are in the audience, and of course, the Dotties who were there all the time and checking on her and letting me know what's going on. And we spent some time in there. And even the Divines showed up to check on her when she was in the hospital. Ginger is survived by her son, Blair and Chuck, and 3 granddaughters and actually 1 grandson. Ginger had many, many friends in the city. A lot of you don't know this, but Ginger had a rule. She said, 10% of people are my closest friends, and the rest are my friends. But boy, if you were a Minnesotan, she would cut you slack even if you were not part of that 10%. You kind of got in. She was very straight speaker, as you know her, as many of you have been around and known Ginger. You didn't have to guess what she was going to say. She told you exactly how it was. She cared about city like there was no tomorrow. This was her life. She had a couple of friends who she really loved. One of them happened to be Ruth Dotson, and the other one was Marilyn, Hamilton. Marilyn, not Mary Hamilton, Marilyn Hamilton. They were all below 5 feet, and they were known as the below 5 feet mafia. That's what they called them. These 3 women were powerhouses in this city, literally powerhouses in this city. And they did a lot for this city, all the way from Glendale Beautiful to any other organization you could think of she was a part of, and volunteered tirelessly to help this city. She was a true Glendalian, even though she was born in Minnesota. I was just lucky. I was lucky to have the opportunity to meet Ginger, and believe it or not, I met her for the first time in design review. And John McKenna came to me and said, what did Ginger tell you? I said, well, she said, I like you. You're straightforward. You're just like me. And John McKenna turned around and said, you're lucky, because if she likes you, you're in good shape. But if she doesn't, you have picked up one of the most powerful enemies in your life. So I was happy that to be on that 10% league. And Ginger, the reason I'm here is because of Ginger. I'll be very honest with you. She took me under her wings. She's like a second mother to me, and she used to go on television programs and call me as her 3rd son. And that was an honor that I will never forget. So on November 13th at 10 a.m., a jacaranda tree will be planted dedicating to Ginger on the City Hall campus. She did not want to have services, church services, so there will be no church services. But on the 13th of November at 10 a.m., all the people, and I hope everybody who's listening, if you would like to pay your respects to Ginger Bremberg, the great lady of City of Glendale, you could come down here and we will plant a tree in her memory. By the way, jacaranda happens to be the City of Glendale's tree. That is our city tree. And she loved oaks and sycamores and flowering trees. And so that's why we decided to plant that. And there will be a plaque on a nice little boulder that will dedicate that to her. So at this point, I think GTV6 has gone out. And how do you show a woman's life who dedicated herself to this city for over 20 years, and GTV6 has put together an 8.5-minute video. This is just trying to just basically nibble on the edges of all the things she did. So please take some time to review this.
Thank you. Very well done, GTV. Not much more can be said after that and the previous comments, but I do want to add that due to Ginger's interest in and her career endeavors related to the field of solid waste management and her close relationship with our own integrated waste management operation, all of our integrated waste management vehicles will be displaying black ribbons beginning tomorrow. And in addition, as you heard and as you know, our waste management site is renamed the Ginger Bremberg Integrated Waste Management Facility, and we will be proudly displaying a memorial wreath near her dedication plaque at the front of the building. It's a sad day for Glendale, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Next item, please.
Mr. Mayor and Council, at 3A is agenda preview for the meeting of November 6, 2007.
Would the troops like to step out? Okay, Mr. McFall.
Thank
3A.
you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is the agenda preview for next week. That would be November 6th. In the morning, there will not be, just for public notification, there will not be the budget study session that is taking place for the next few weeks, but we will pick up on that in a couple of weeks. On the Glendale Housing Authority, there will be one item. This will be for the authority to consider the development of affordable rental housing project with supporting services for formerly homeless and disabled families. This is a project located at 615 Chester Street. There's going to be two joint meetings. One will be the Glendale City Council and the Housing Authority, or the Council and the Authority will be considering the approval of Community Development Block Grant and SHP funds for various programs for the upcoming year 2008-9 and the SHP funds for 07 and 08. And then secondly, there will be an item regarding the status of the program planning for the fiscal year 2008 and 9. This will be for the Community Development Block Grant funds and home funds. There will also be a joint meeting in the Glendale Housing Authority and the Glendale Redevelopment Agency, where a report will be presented in the form of a public hearing. The Director of Development Services and the Community and Development and Housing Director presenting the updated 5-year implementation plan for the Central Glendale Redevelopment Project and San Fernando Road Corridor project areas. On the City Council agenda that evening, there will be 4 action items. The Director of Public Works will be presenting a request for matching funds for a Federal Transit Authority grant. This is the Section 530 and the local Prop C local transit grant funds. Secondly, the Director of Planning will be presenting a report regarding various issues on zoning standards for hillside residential development in ROS and R1R areas. Director of Planning and the City Attorney will be presenting a report regarding various options concerning single-family design review. And lastly, the City Attorney will be presenting a report regarding the reaffirmation of the vote for Mayor R. Najarian and Airport Authority Commissioner Bobby Sefian. That would be it.
Are we going to finish all that next week?
It took me a half hour just to read it.
Okay, it certainly did. Thank you. The next item, please.
At 3B is a proclamation designating the week of November 11 through the 17th, 2007 as California Retired Teachers Week.
I'm happy to present a proclamation. If Joan Ness would come forward, and Bill Inhelder, and anyone else representing the Retired Teachers Association. Thank you. Whereas California Retired Teachers Association, an organization of retired teachers and interested persons, has had continuous growth since its founding in 1929, and whereas CRTA, Glendale Foothill Division, 11 has a current membership of approximately 550, many of whom are active volunteers in the community. And whereas the purpose of CRTA is to support public education, teachers, and provide statewide scholarships, maintain a mutual nonprofit, benevolent, and protective organization, safeguard public school teachers' retirement system, promote the welfare and social relationships of its members, support and beneficial education legislation, and oppose detrimental legislation. And whereas California Retired Teachers Week was initiated by CRTA to spotlight the extensive volunteer work CRTA members conduct in their local communities, and whereas the purpose of the program is to highlight retired teachers' involvement in education and the community and to provide good role models, now therefore I, R.N. Najarian, Mayor of Glendale, hereby proclaim November 11th to 17th, 2007 as California Retired Teachers Week and commend the CRTA members for their dedication and valuable contributions over their many years of outstanding service to our youth and to our community. Mr. Draymond, if you would present the check, please.
Our current 2007 retired honoree, CRTA member honoree, will formally accept the proclamation. Bill Inhelder.
Congratulations and congratulations to you all. Please say a few words. On behalf of the California Retired Teachers Association, the Glendale Foothill Chapter, I'm pleased to accept this proclamation celebrating California's Retired Teachers Week, November 11 through the 17th. This beautiful proclamation will be on display in the Administration Center of the Glendale Unified School District Board of Education building during this week. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
It might be of interest to know that Bill taught 36 years at Hoover High School. He was a math and computer science teacher, but he was the first computer teacher in the district. Now that's technological history, don't you think? And then he's been very active in CRTA as well. And I thought I would introduce our president, B. Wojtyla, who is from Burbank Unified, and my mother, who was the honoree last year, Gertrude Ness.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next item, please.
At 3C is recognition of top Glendale Relay for Life teams.
And will everyone come forward? Linda Patrick, the young lady from the Cancer Society, the Tri-Chairs, Mike Haney, Chief Scoggins. All the team leaders. Well, hi again.
Hi.
And we did have a very successful Relay for Life this past month, September 29th, I think, September 29th and 30th. You raised a lot of money. We had a lot of support from the community, broad support from young children up to seniors, students, retired folks, public officials, our public safety workers, fire, police. We missed Mr. Starbird this year, but I'm sure he was with us in spirit. Mr. McFall took his place with the campground amenities. I enjoyed it. The s'mores, the walking, the music, everything that was done. The food, where's our food chair? He's not here, Dave Ahern. Quite a job, and I understand that our ranks grew from 400 or 500 expected up to 800 at some point.
I think it was over that. It was more like, we think about 1,200 at different points of the day. People would come and go.
Dinner, they had 800 at dinner. I know they were somewhat panicking. They had to send Anush Restaurant out for more, and they were grilling over an open barbecue, but we're going to overlook that for a good cause. Where's Margaret? Margaret's not here. Where is she? She's
taking notes. She's taking notes.
Anyway, it was for a good cause, and it's my pleasure, in addition to anything that you'd like to do, to honor the teams, the top 10 teams, and the other teams that were able to bring in and obtain $5,000 or more for the American Cancer Society. Am I saying it right, Linda? Okay. Linda was briefing me, and I'm like, okay. Well, let me start. Shall I start, Linda, or would you like to?
No, why don't
Okay.
you?
I'm going to start with the 5,000 level. And let me join you there, because I'm going to hand this out. I'm going to start from the bottom.
Oh, okay.
And I'm happy to present a commendation to the team. And these are wonderful names, by the way. Cancer Defeated by Hope.
And this is the team captain.
And the team captain is Jasmine Venegas. Congratulations. Oh, well, remember what I said about the names, so this doesn't apply. Glendale Police Department. Team captain is Angela Hilliard. Oh, here we go. This team is Hearts of a Cure A Cure A Beings. Hearts of a Cure A Beings. And the team captain is Diana Valentine. And this goes to Verdugo Hills Hospital team. The team captain is Laura Knowles. Okay. AYSO brought a group out. AYSO Division 88. Aldo Mascheroni is the director. Congratulations. Next is Glendale Public Works team, Shay Eggleston. Are these the top 10? Are we in the top 10 now? We're working our way up to the very top. Here's quite a name. Rage Against Cancer. And they raised $5,800. Team captain, Keisha Fulton. The next winning team is DowntownGlendale.com. Team captain is Alyssa Glickman. Next, we have Team GEMG. Team captain is Brenda Enriquez. Glendale Eye Medical Group. Top 10. We're in the top 10, folks. Working our way. This is 6, 5, 4, 3. Oh, this is 5. The fifth best team in terms of amounts donated, Friends of Vicky, FOV. $7,000 they obtained and donated. Team captain is Vicky Peterson. Oh, you named the team after yourself. Okay.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Glendale Firefighters Association. They raised over $9,000. Team captain is Joanne Davis. Is this number 3?
Harold was about to put in some extra money so he can be number 3.
We're at the top 3.
I said no.
In third place this year, we have the West Wing Walkers. $10,400. Mike Garcia is not here. We'll give this to our very own Jillian Van Meiden. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
We had a great turnout by this group. The Hoover Tornadoes. Hoover High School brought a large group of students. Team captains Royce Oldolfo. Congratulations. You guys were noisy, too. I didn't get much sleep. I'm going to move my tent next year.
Keeping you young.
Keeping me young. I've got enough of that. And the winner this year, for the third year in a row, Hope Rises 3, who raised over $20,000. Team captain Jolene Taylor. And Paula Devine. You may add all you wish.
And Linda and the American Cancer Society. Hope Rises has not quit. We have tonight $300 for Glendale Relay for Life.
Wow.
Our message has always been that as long as we have events like this, survivors, patients of cancer, and those of us that may yet be diagnosed, there will always be hope. So we must always participate. There you go.
I would like to introduce Danielle from American Cancer Society, who would like to present some awards to you.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be a part of this group. A couple of weeks ago, the American Cancer Society, the Los Angeles region, actually honored some of the top volunteers and leaders of the Los Angeles region for the Relay for Life. And it was a proud day for Glendale because there were actually 3 honorees in the city of, in all of Los Angeles, and the city of Glendale was one of only 2 cities that were actually given out specifically to that city. The little blurb that was said about them is the city of Glendale, it's in its 4th year, has always supported the Relay for Life event. The committee itself is comprised of a majority of city staff dedicating endless hours to bring awareness to the community and raise funds to fight cancer. Something truly amazing, the mayor of Glendale and city council members themselves are even out camping in tents throughout the 24 hours. The Glendale Relay for Life committee ran like a fine oiled machine, which is a true reflection of the city's leadership. Thank you, City of Glendale, for your outstanding community partnership and putting up the fight against cancer at the top of your list. So we'd like to present that to you. Thank you very much. And there are just 2 more we'd love to honor as well. Paula Devine, who we just can't say enough about. She's been on board with the Glendale Relay of Life since its beginning and has led her team, Hope Rises, to be the top fundraising team for the past 3 years. And this year, she took sponsorship to new heights, bringing in over $40,000 while connecting those constituents to the organization and the American Cancer Society's mission. We thank Paula and Art so much for all that you do in the community and all of the time and support you give. We are truly blessed to have you representing our organization. So thank you, Paula.
I'm sorry I neglected. My team is here. A lot of them are here, and I would like for them to stand up and get the recognition that they deserve because they work so hard. Margot Basu, Lisa Prince, Kathy Lefkowitz, Pat Corcoran, Jolene, Nairi, Nahabidian is there. Elizabeth Manasarian couldn't be here. And Vicki Spencer, Mary Bowman, Val Taylor, and Corinne Davalos. So I want to thank all of them.
And I have one more outstanding award the American Cancer Society would like to give to a member of the City of Glendale Relay for Life team, Margaret Agus, who is new to Relay this year but jumped in for the lead to be team captain coordinator and just inspired her teams and her team captains, infusing the Glendale Relay for Life with creativity and, most importantly, the mission of the American Cancer Society. We can't thank Margaret enough for running such a successful event and all of her leadership. So thank you, Margaret.
I would just like to say thank you to all of you, council members, staff, everybody for always being there and standing by us. And Just wanted to say that Ginger was a big supporter also, and she last year was the only year she wasn't there. She was there from the first 3 years, and it was always really special to see her standing there when she could hardly stand. So we appreciate that. Special thank you to Mayor Najarian for being our honorary chair and spending the night for the third year. I don't know if he will again, but it's a hard thing to
Ask
do.
me next year.
But anyway, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, sincerely, and I'd like to let my tri-chairs, who I really enjoyed working with, and Mike Haney and Harold Scoggins.
Well, I think we had another outstanding event. We all had a good time, and we learned a bit along the way. So thanks for all your participation to all of our city council members and our staff and the community, and we hope to see you again next year.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, and the public, it's such a great event. It can't be said for how much work everybody does, and Linda Patrick is truly a hero. So thank you.
Margaret? Margaret's going to tell you our latest total. But we're still accepting donations through January 2008, so you can go to our website, Glendale Relay for Life. Here's Margaret.
Well, thank you. As of today, Danielle kindly told me that we've raised up to $187,000 so far for this event. So, again, I want to thank my team captains who did a wonderful job really pushing their teams to do a lot of different things to raise money and just really raise awareness of cancer. So I really appreciate their help. And as you know, we actually had less teams this year, but we raised more money. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the dinner. We help the kids too. Good to see you.
Mr. Kasakian, the next item, please. Mr. Youssef.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to take this opportunity to also nominate Ronald Black to the Board of Zoning Appeals. So that could be also added for next week. I'm done with I've done my committee work. I just want to let you know I had 2 to deal with. I have given you 2 names within 30 days.
There were several names nominated last week. Are those
The council had asked
agenda?
for them to be brought up for November 6th meeting, and they are on the agenda.
Thank you. The next item, please.
Item number 4 is city council and staff comments.
Comments? Mr. Yousefian?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't want to do this earlier on, but I think this is time for me to do this. As you know, in the last 4 weeks, I've spent a lot of time with Ginger Bremberg, and we talked about different issues about the city and so on and so forth. Ginger was a people's person, and to her, the residents of Glendale meant the most. We did discuss the issue that happened several weeks ago on this dais, and as I took the opportunity to read a statement standing on the lectern and letting you know my regret about choice of words that took place on that day, as I talked to her, her thing was, my boy, you apologized to Starboard, but how about rest of us? You didn't say anything about rest of us. And as you know, Ginger didn't beat behind bush. She just cut right through there. And I realized I didn't. So I made her several promises, and this was one of them, that I will make whatever wrong I did right. And while she won't be able to listen to this, but I'm pretty sure she's up there watching me, I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to the people who were in this room and had to listen to some of that language. I know a lot of the people didn't hear it because the mics were off. But to her, even if one person who was a member of this audience, just a citizen, heard it, that was enough to justify me to apologize. So I'm going to take this opportunity to do that. This is what I promised Ginger. I want to stick to it. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff I also promised, and she made me promise. So you will see some more of that coming up later on. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Draymond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I just want to comment that our city clerk, I know this must be a first because his invocation, he managed to link Orson Welles, FDR, and Rudyard Kipling together in one invocation, and I'll tell you, it takes a lot of talent to do that. Secondly, I want to remind everyone that the Montrose Spooktacular is tomorrow night from 5 p.m. until 8:30 p.m., even though a lot of the materials are not saying 8 p.m. It's 5 o'clock to 8:30 p.m. This is a long-time event that is jointly sponsored by the City of Glendale Department of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services and the Montrose Shopping Park Association. This has been going on for a long, long time up there. It's a good, safe environment in the 2200 block of Honolulu Avenue between Ocean View Boulevard and Verdugo Road. Good, safe environment to bring the kids. There are rides, carnival booths with prizes, magic show, music, costume contest, costume parade, costume contests for animals. I was sharing with the mayor a couple of years ago, someone brought a turtle dressed as a ladybug, which was the winning animal. And it's a lot of fun out there, plus lots of food and a lot of good cheer, but also trick-or-treating door-to-door at the stores in the Montrose Shopping Park in all 3 blocks of Honolulu Avenue. So the merchants will be there staying late to distribute candy to the kids. So it's a lot of fun, and it has grown into quite the event. In the last 2 years, at the peak of the event, 10,000 people in one block. It's a lot of folks squeezed into one block there, but it's a lot of fun, and again, a good, safe way to help your kids enjoy the Halloween cheer. And that is it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you could say it's like a safe and sane Mardi Gras.
Yes, well, you just did, so I don't need to.
Okay. Anything from staff? Thank you. Okay, let's move on.
Mr. Mayor and Council, item 5 is consent items, including minutes. The following are routine and may be acted upon by one motion. Any member of council or the audience requesting separate consideration may do so by making such request before a motion is proposed.
Mr. Draymond.
Related to 5A, Mr. Mayor, the minutes have a correction. I don't know whether you want to just, that's the only consent item, so.
There's actually...
oh, wait, excuse me, there's B, there's 2. It's continued. Continued on page 2, yes. So I could just mention the correction, or we can pull it as a separate item if you wish.
Well, let me interrupt you. Do we have a, I see that this is the October 2nd meeting,
Right,
Mr. Yusefian
we're both out.
is absent. Is that correct?
It says Najarian and Yusefian absent.
We can hold it over and make that correction.
So that means I can give them the correction and then...
Yes.
Hey, Artie. My mention with regard to the road that needed repaving was Drury Lane rather than Dreary Lane. It made it into the minutes as Dreary Lane, but it's actually Drury Lane, so just a
We were exercising.
FYI.
Okay, so we'll put 8A over for next week, and motion for 5B, not 8A. We'll put 5A over, 5B.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Draymond.
Yes.
Quintero. Weaver. Yusefian.
Aye.
Mayor Najarian.
Yes. Yes. And before we get too far along, there's been some discussion, and we've received some written communication on this. As we fill our boards and commissions, I would like to have agendize a report whether the merging of the BZA and the Planning Commission would be appropriate or not, and we'll put that up and hear what the report would have to be on that. And is that at least a month away, Mr. Starbird?
I would think within a month.
And let me ask before I order it, so is there any interest, any support from my colleagues on that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So there's at least two then. Please keep us posted on that. Okay, now let's move to item 6.
Item 6 is oral communication. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Council may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The city manager may refer the matter to the appropriate department for investigation and a report.
Thank you. You are allowed 5 minutes to speak under our ordinance. However, if you will voluntarily limit your comments to 3 minutes, I may extend the courtesy of placing your card at the front of the pile of cards. We will take speakers until 60 minutes has elapsed, not counting council comments or discussions between staff, at which point we will temporarily suspend oral communications, take on the action items on our agenda. At the conclusion of the action items, we'll pick up any speakers that have not yet had the opportunity to speak. Mr. Kisaki? Okay. You want to reorganize the cards? Okay. The first priority, 3 minutes, is Bonnie Adams.
There you go.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back with my new baby. Her name is Annie. Oh, I'm Bonnie Adams. But the mayor said it first, but I'll say it. I'm Bonnie Adams. I'm back from, I think I fought World War III. I guess I sort of timed it in a way that I'm introducing Annie in memory of Ginger, since she liked dogs so much. I'm sorry I didn't get to meet her. I never got the privilege, although I was here in Glendale part of the time she was still alive. I feel unfortunate that I didn't get to meet her, and if she loved dogs as much as she did, I brought home lots of literature and lots of goodies to bring to the council on another occasion, perhaps. But Annie was very well worth waiting for, and she is a special needs dog, which I can explain that at some other time, but she had 8 months of training, and they held her over because they couldn't find a match for her. They couldn't find a person that they could match her with until I came into the picture, and she was given to me. And I feel very blessed to have her. She's a good dog. She's a good worker. We kind of are getting off to a rather rough start, but she's doing very well considering everything she's had to go through right now. We just got home last Thursday. This is Tuesday. She's a wonderful dog, and she's a long-coated German Shepherd. And if anybody would like to come up and pet her, maybe it will help me a little with my training. everyone who can later on or whatever. I may have to leave soon, but if anybody wants to come up and say hello and give her a pat, you certainly can. I allow people to pet my dogs for a lot of reasons. But I'll end here and I'm saying it's good to be back.
Thank you. And welcome, Annie. Next speaker is Jack Shervanian. Followed by Herbert Milano.
Good evening, Mayor Najarian and council members. I'm Jack Shervanian, and I would like to thank you and the planning department for holding a meeting last night on the Los Encinos Market. I also like to thank Councilmember Draymond and Quintero for attending. At the end of the meeting, Councilmember Quintero indicated that he would bring up the possibility of reopening the public process on the issue of the traffic. I am here to encourage the other council members to follow Mr. Quintero's lead and to require more than the categorical exemption based upon the issues brought up at last night's meeting. The traffic department's solution to provide a 75 feet long, 4 feet wide, 6-inch high traffic median and removing 4 feet of public sidewalk is significant impact to the neighborhood, and as such justifies a traffic study and further environmental review. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Milano, followed by Leon Mayer.
Good evening, Mayor Najarian, members of the City Council, City staff. My name is Herbert Milano. I want to address a remark that was made by Mr. Councilman Weaver last Tuesday concerning my lawsuit challenging the environmental impact report for downtown, the downtown specific plan. Many people may not know that an environmental impact report is a communication tool, and it is the communication tool by which we, the residents, and the rest of stakeholders in the city can be informed concerning the impacts of a project or of zoning changes, for example, that the city may undertake. And that document tells us what the impact will be with regard to traffic, parking, water usage, waste disposal, and many other factors that affect the quality of life of the residents of a city. And that particular project, EIR, I felt would impact significantly or would continue to exacerbate the lack of parkland in the city of Glendale. We had an increasing population without the adequate parkland for the general public. But it would also impact significantly the water usage. It would also significantly impact our traffic. In 1996, the city prepared a significant environmental impact report where it strictly stated how it was going to mitigate the problem of the parkland shortage. And the city failed to do that. So I had more than enough reason to make sure that this particular EIR would be as carefully followed and as comprehensive in mitigating the problem concerning parkland shortage, concerning traffic, and concerning the water usage, among other things. Now, that is our prerogative given to us by California law. And when a city doesn't follow it, or we think that a particular EIR is insufficiently addressing those problems, then the only option we have is a lawsuit. Now, you made a lot of significant strides with regard in the past weeks concerning parkland, and I'm very appreciative, Mr. Najarian. You were very, very supportive of the additional parkland for Southern Glendale, and some of your colleagues were as well. But I was very much taken aback when Mr. Weaver pretty much stated, in a way that I took as intimidating, saying, we are now going to sue you for all of these hundreds of thousands of dollars of cost to the city. And he knew very well that the city attorney had indicated that he could not sue us for those amounts, only for the administrative record, for which my attorney offered, basically, and selected to do. So there's very little that the city can do as far as threatening me or any other resident with regard to those charges. And the resident should feel that if an EIR does not address and does not mitigate the problems of a new project, that they should feel free to file a lawsuit in order to sustain the objectives of an EIR. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Leon Mayer, followed by Vache Mangasarian.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Leon Mayer. I'm here on behalf of the library as well as the Friends of the Library. The library itself has been featuring one book, one Glendale, for the last several weeks. And this time we did it, it's the first time in the history, our 100-year history, that we've done something like this. We featured the Japanese-American internment following Pearl Harbor during the early years of World War II. And we've had many study groups, reading groups that have been going on at various places in the city, and we're nearing an end. And November 7th will probably be the last part of the program, and on November 7th we will have Julie Otsuka, who's written the novel When the Emperor Was Divine. And her book encompasses the experiences of one Japanese-American family who, following Pearl Harbor, following the panic on the West Coast, the internment into the relocation camps, she takes us through all these years until the executive order was declared unconstitutional near the end of the war. Be there. It'll be a very interesting program. And if you come there, hopefully we'll have some historical memos still available to you that you can have as a memo of the historic significance of our program and what happened in 1942 through 1944. So by all means, you're invited to come. Also, there's going to be, by showing your Glendale library card, you can go down to the Japanese-American Museum downtown in Little Tokyo. Very quickly, we have another program from the Friends of the Library. November 28th, we're having Michael Farrell from MASH, and I have this flyer, which those people who are fans of the MASH program, you'll enjoy just looking at this flyer with all the main Alan Alda and Mike Farrell, the two doctors who never had a malpractice claim brought against them for all the fantastic work they did at the MASH hospital. And that's November 28th. We'll have flyers available at all the libraries and any place else. I might even come to Montrose tomorrow, not to scare anybody at your Halloween festival, but we try to get the word out to everybody. So come see Mike Farrell. The name of his book, the autobiography, is Just Call Me Mike, A Journey to Actor and Activist. And he has a tremendous background, tremendous experience to talk to you about. Thank you very much. If anybody wants the flyers now, raise your hand as I leave, and I'll quietly pass them around. Thank you.
Thank you. Vache Mangasarian concludes the 3-minute speakers.
Good evening. I'm Vache Mangasarian. As you all know by now, we lost a dear lady, a dear friend. Friday night, our former mayor and political tour de force, Ginger Bramberg, passed away, leaving behind a shining legacy, a legacy of dignity and truth. Ginger was an unusual lady when it came to serve the city of Glendale. She devoted all her energy to do the job right. The interests of our town came before everything. She was outspoken, she was honest. Not always you can see the trend in that kind of a trend in political arena. Her outspoken honesty was a blessing and a gift that she brought to this city and to this chamber. I was privileged to know Mrs. Bramberg during her 4 terms of city council. I was lucky to know her during my 14 years of service to our community as a journalist. Ginger Bramberg was a monthly guest on my show, on my talk show, and she always encouraged the viewers to be part of the city life and participate at the city politics and keep the council members accountable. She helped see Glendale through a significant period of growth. Her accomplishments were many. She will be missed dearly. Rest in peace, dear lady. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker for 5 minutes, and those thereafter, Dr. Richard Espiritu. Followed by Bruce Philpott and Cynthia Lloyd-Jones.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council and staff. I am Dr. Richard Espiritu. This is a thank you for all the work that the city staff has done regarding the efforts regarding ADA. These are accessible tables. These are the drinking fountains at Pacific Park. Oh, had it backwards. This is another drinking fountain at the ball field. This is that famous guy wire over at the post office on Dryden. This is the before. This is the after. This is Little Glen Oaks. This is the after. We removed all of those water and power hydrants that were out there. This is Glen Oaks and Pacific, that physical therapy with the 4-inch holes in the trees. This is the way it looks now. They're all filled. This is on Dryden before. I tripped on that spot, tore my pants. This is the way it looks now. This is the Marie Callender's, and this is how they fixed it up very nicely. This is on Hayden before. This was a big mess. This is how it is after. It looks very nice. This is the after also from the other direction. This is the bus route on Pacific and Dryden, the bus stop. There was a 3-inch hole there. 3 wells was filled. This is before on Glen Oaks and Kenilworth. This is where the 3 benches were there. This is the way it looks after. They did remove one of the benches. This is on Gray Knoll and Glen Oaks. This is on Route 7 MTA. The pad was not extended. This is the way it looks afterwards. I thought this was going to take a long time. This is Chevy Chase and Brand, Beeline Route 4 before. This is after. This is Chevy Chase and Brand also. This is the before. This is the after. They removed the tree also. I do hope somebody would put in some covered benches there because now it's hot. This is Colorado and Central, Beeline Routes 4 and 6. These are the tree wells. These are all filled now. This is the interesting one. This is the wheelchair ramp that cut into the curb cut on the corner of Arden and Kenilworth. I thought, for God, it was going to take forever to get that thing fixed. But now it's fixed. And I would like to thank Mr. Steve Zern for his outstanding efforts with Public Works, Mr. George Champson, Mr. Waters from Public Works, Rubio Diana, who is a civil engineer, who helped fix that. I'd also like to thank the ADA coordinator, Mr. Mike Wiedeker, the city attorney, ADA specialist, Mr. Bob Aldesco, and I'd like to thank the city council for my listening to all my babblings for the last number of weeks regarding the issues of ADA. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bruce Philpott, followed by Cynthia Lloyd-Jones.
Here's the copies. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor Najarian, members of the City Council, staff, and the public. My name is Bruce Philpott. We're going to deviate from our normal presentation sequence this evening and resume the schedule next week. I have gotten some feedback from the public that tells me they want to see actual evidence of these failed incidents on emergency medical responses as identified first by the consultant hired by the Glendale Fire Department. The public wants to know how this could be and what specific facts I possess that would confirm my concerns that show a disturbing trend. I understand more than most, having served in law enforcement for half of my life, that assumptions are not acceptable when you are dealing with such an issue as delayed emergency medical responses. Because I failed to establish this baseline as evidence at the beginning of our presentations, I will do so this evening and then return to policy issues on staffing next week. This information is of great importance to the public, and it is paramount that the public be reassured that the information we are presenting is accurate. I will be presenting scanned copies of actual activity reports and dispatch logs that illustrate the delayed, or in their terms, the failed incidents that are occurring in several locations that are permitted, at least in part, by an existing policy in the Glendale Fire Department. The first one up here, and I've only selected 3 because of time, but if you look up here, it says about a year ago, Engine 27, AOR means apparatus on radio. They're PT, physical training at Brand Park. While at Brand Park, they received a call under that incident, a medical call. The medical call, if you'll see, is the same corresponding number. The dispatch time, the time on scene, the response time was 6 minutes and 34 minutes, and you'll see again en route from Brand Park. Second incident occurred in May of this year, Engine 27. That's the incident number, physical training at Brand Park. They park the vehicle in the middle of the park, and then they run anywhere from a quarter to an eighth of a mile away from the apparatus. When the radio goes off, they have to respond back there, change their clothes before they respond on the call. This incident, if you'll see, same incident, dispatch time versus on-scene time. Response is 3 seconds under 7 minutes. Again, responding from Brand Park. This incident was a traffic collision on the freeway, where most of the calls, by the way, in Engine 27 occur in the mornings. They don't occur at the north end of the city, of their district. They occur at the south end, where the freeways converge. Glen Oaks and highly traveled areas like the other big street down, I forgot. Anyway, TRAP, maybe S5. S5 is a term in police and fire that means a fatality. Here we have another incident, Engine 27 this year, that incident, traffic collision. Dispatch and on scene, we have a total of 8 minutes response, again from Brand Park. I will skip that for time. Here is a physical fitness policy in the fire department, Chapter 4. Under no circumstances shall physical fitness activities diminish the emergency response capabilities of personnel or companies. All exercise shall be conducted within the following parameters. And it gives the exercises where it can occur, sport activities. This engine assigned to this area here is out of district, although it's still within the parameters of the policy, as well as around the stations. You can run up to 2 blocks. When the bell rings, you may be 2 blocks away in a 4-minute heart attack. Here is the failed incidents based on the FPA 1710, density of medical incidents. If you will see here, and you can't on this because it's too weak, but right here, Engine 27 has a high density of failed incidents. The major incidents failed are here in South Glendale, by far and away the most, but I have not audited any of those down there. The last thing I want to bring to your attention is the consultant's report that says possible reasons for these failed incidents. He doesn't know. However, it does say that maybe insufficient resources, such as vehicles or personnel. My study indicates that it's because they're jogging and doing an activity in remote areas or even out of district as the policy allows. I will complete my presentation and turn it over
Okay.
Cynthia Lloyd-Jones.
Cynthia Lloyd-Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm not going to be 5 minutes. That's the good news. Summation. Question. What has the Glendale Fire Department identified as the causes of these delays in Fire District 27, and what has it done to correct them? What has the Glendale Fire Department done to identify and remedy the larger problem in South Glendale that shows the highest number of failed incidents? There is a military term that is applicable to this issue. It is known as the desired point of maximum impact. In military terms, it means the precise target point to be hit by a military weapon. In the fire service, this term should reinforce what are known as best practice and geographic integrity. That being the desired point for the maximum impact for emergency response is when the firefighters and equipment are in their centrally located district fire stations. When firefighters are in their desired point of maximum impact, they can respond to any location in their district within 4 minutes. But when they are in violation of this best practice and violating geographic integrity, their response time can take as long as 8 minutes. At least that is the amount of time determined by a sampling of the runs you have just seen. The public should not have to wait until the fire department hears the entire series of presentations to respond to the critical issue of slow emergency responses. The rest of the report that the fire department has been instructed to create in response to our material is not critical to life-threatening emergencies and therefore can be postponed until after the final presentation is made. But the policy that creates delayed responses should be examined and reported immediately. Top management in the fire department has an ethical and professional obligation to report back to the city and public as soon as possible. A top fire manager is present this evening. Maybe he would like to address this issue. The public deserves to hear from our fire department with specifics sooner than later. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Mr. Yusefkin.
Mr. Philpott said that he did not know I'm looking at the same item also. Says that the consultant did not know why the failed incidences. As I read this document, part of the document basically talks about the geography of the RA District 25 includes the areas north of Station 24, Chevy Chase Canyon, and Glen Oaks Canyon, all the way down to Adams Hill in the southeast portion of the Glendale adjacent to the city of Los Angeles. The highest number of the failed incidences in southwest and Station 25. This location is at the opposite end of the district. Most geographically and accessibility challenged areas, the canyons and hillsides to the northeast. So basically what I gather from this is maybe the areas they're covering, it starts from one end, goes all the way to the other end. Finally, RA District 29 covers a very large area stretching from the northerly-most portion of the city, north of Station 28, all the way south of Station 24. The other item is, which is, I think it's already been lined, it says, it is important to note that the density of the failed incidences in primarily in the range of 161 to 200 incidences per square mile, that's what it is, some 10 times less than the density of the incidences that meet or exceed NFPA 1710, which are generally between 501 and 2,000 incidents per square mile. So from what I gather in here, what the consultant is saying is the number of failed incidents in our city with our challenges is actually less than what the NFPA is saying. So I don't know what those are based on. But wouldn't you say that part of the reason that some of these failed incidences are happening is because, and he pointed out, possible reason for failed incidences include and this is what you underlined, insufficient resources such as vehicles or personnel, multiple incidents occurring at the same time, topographical changes in large portions of the city, traffic congestion, narrow roads in mountainous areas. I mean, there are some, I mean, to an extent, it does spell out some of the problems. I mean, I see this for the first time, by the way. I just want to thank you for bringing this up, because if you read the all four rescue ambulance districts are geographically stretched to provide timely service. Now, I think we have 5 now instead of 4. But nevertheless, at the time when this report was done, it spells out what some of these stations are facing. They got to go from one end to the other. And I will tell you, when Ginger fell, Chevy Chase is not the one that showed up to pick her up. And Chevy Chase was within a spit of her house. Station 21, which is all the way down in here, had to go all the way to Chevy Chase to pick her up. So I would say there may be some challenges we may want to deal with, but I mean, based on your own information, I don't know if we're as bad as NFPA, says we're pretty good.
If the engine,
Mr. Philpott, unless there was a question in that.
Well, my question is
not an open-ended question, but
no.
something
My question
that we
is
can get an answer to.
His own information to us is telling us that we are doing 10 times better than what the standards are. So what I like to understand is, what is the goal? What are you trying to achieve? You're trying to reduce our failed incidences? I mean, what is the goal?
right now we have a policy that allows units, the engines, and there's 9 engines, and so they always get to the medical emergency before the RA. There's 5 RAs. Statistically, it's 57 seconds. When the engine is in the station, ready to respond, they get there in 4 minutes, no matter what direction they travel, with very little exception. There are some remote canyons, but to the most part, 24 hours a day, when they get the call run and they're in station, ready to roll, they roll in 4 minutes. If they are jogging at an area that is out of their district, and then they get a call where they have to get out of their jogging equipment, get into their turnouts if it's a fire call, or their blues if it's a medical call, and then get in the engine and then drive to the location, there is a built-in up to 8 or 9 minute delay. All we have to do is rescind the policy that permits them to jog in remote parks, because they have all of the physical fitness equipment they need right in the station. Why jeopardize a heart attack victim 4 minutes later when you've got an 8-minute delay if they're asserting this current policy? If physical fitness is important, we ought to maintain good physical fitness for firefighters. There's no question about that. But it can be achieved in the station. They've got good equipment in the stations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Charles Hooker, followed by...
I'm sorry, Mayor, the name?
Charles Hooker. Don't see Mr. Hooker. The next one is Moses. No last name, Moses.
Is the sea going to depart?
Okay.
And my associate. Thank you. I'm Moses, down from Mount Sacramento. And I brought you the tablets from Mount Sacramento. They are being carried by the Grim Reaper, the ultimate justice. As you know, we've been very, very busy in Orange County today with future former Sheriff Corona. It's only taken 5 years, but it's happening. One of the tablets that we brought from Mount Sacramento is the California Public Records Act, an act that we should be very, very familiar with, an act that our records indicate that the city does not want to provide the information for disaster preparedness, for where the natives must go should there be a disaster. We have no idea.
I thought you were going to lead them out of...
Only out of the desert.
Only out of the desert?
We may have one if the water shortage. I didn't bring the staff to give us water, nor manna from heaven. One of the other tablets was the Brown Act. The Brown Act is that which sets the agendas for the meetings, requires that each closed session have an open session before it so that the public can ask questions and make statements regarding the information on the closed sessions. And the Political Reform Act, one that every politician and official should be aware of. It is this act that has helped put politicians, elected officials, and others in prison. It is this act that one should be very, very familiar with. It outlines issues that the FBI brought Sheriff Corona in on: money laundering, mail fraud, and other things, including witness tampering and the use of county equipment for one's own private use, an issue that we have attempted to address here in this chamber in the past. It has not been that, as our honorable mayor has suggested, we take to a higher authority, and it was. Just as the issues of the self-voting, self-aggrandizement has been forwarded to a higher authority, that of the Fair Political Practices Commission. At some point, the ultimate justice will be there. Thank you.
Mr. Draymond.
Well, I just have to, just for the record, point out, folks, if you're watching at home, the Grim Reaper. I started to say the Grim Ripper. The Grim Reaper has a weed whacker. I've never noticed that before. That must be something from an alternate testament.
High tech. It competes with the sock puppet.
I see. All right. All right. And make sure that you take those three tablets and call us in the morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Olive.
Tomorrow's Halloween, right?
Good evening, Jim Olaf. Happy to be here this evening, and sure sorry to hear about Ginger Bremberg. I've known her for a long time. Good evening, Mayor Najarian, City Council, and staff. In planning for my participation in this Saturday's 7th annual Verdugo Hills Community Hike and Trail Run, I realized the snapshot of Glendale November 3rd is the same day. I would like to suggest that participation in the hike would provide an opportunity to take pictures up in our wonderful Verdugo Hills and submit them for consideration to be included in the commemorative book. The trail run starts at 7:30 a.m. from Brand Park and finishes at Fire Warden's Grove, covering 6.9 miles with approximately 2,000-foot gain in elevation. We typically have about 30 runners. In fact, our past fire chief, Chris Gray, used to run that with his wife. The hike we have starts from Stowe Canyon, from two locations, one of them Stowe Canyon Nature Center in Burbank, and at the end of Walnut Avenue, and the hike covers 3.6 miles each way with approximately 1,500-foot gain in elevation. The first part of the hike can be very challenging, and registration at that location is from 8 to 9 a.m. Latuna Canyon hike starts at the junction of Latuna and the 210 freeway
heading to Fire Wardens Grove, approximately 4 miles away with about 2,000 feet of elevation gain again. This route can be challenging, but is probably one of the easier routes. Registration from that location is from 8 to 10 in the morning. There is also what we call a hike light from Stowe Canyon Nature Center to the old youth campground starting at 9 a.m., covering less than 1 mile each way with approximately 1,000-foot elevation gain. This is typically for our younger hikers. Breakfast will be served at Fire Wardens Grove. The menu includes egg sausage and bean burritos. Cold breakfast will also be available at the youth campground at Hike Light destination. Registration fees also include the Verdugo Community Hike souvenir, which we've been doing for about 6-7 years now. It's been great. The cost is $10, and you may register at 818-548-2184 or on site the day of the event. Proceeds provide signage and trail improvement in our Verdugo Hills. The views from the top of the Verdugos on the Fire Road alone is worth the effort. We expect approximately 200 hikers. Water stations and porta potties will be provided. Park rangers, along with ham radio operators from Gears, from Bears, the equivalent in Burbank, the Crescent Valley Radio Club will be stationed on the route to provide assistance and communication support. Just think of the pictures you can take and submit as part of the Stamp Shot of Glendale, November 3rd. More details on the website at www.verdugohillshike.org, all one word, or call 818-238-5440 for more information. Thank you.
Thank you.
And hopefully you can make it.
Mr. Yusefian.
I had a question.
Yes.
I understand that this says rain or shine.
It will go rain or shine.
But I am assuming, since I heard the weather report talking about Santa Ana's coming back, if there is a high fire hazard issue, you probably would cancel.
We probably won't cancel, and depending upon the situation. What will more than likely is we may change the food situation based upon that decision will be made Friday morning.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and we won't go if it's real, real bad. I mean, if we have 70-mile-an-hour winds, there's no way. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Margaret Hammond, followed by Nancy Hunt Coffey.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, member of the City Council, staff, audience, my friends in the audience here. My name is Margaret Hammond. I met Ginger in the late 70s, and in more or less somewhat adversarial circumstances because we were battling in South Glendale about all the apartments being built down there, and we were trying to put a stop to it. But, yeah, we succeeded somewhat. And I must tell you that Ginger did help us considerably. The Adams Hill, when I spoke to her, she fought for us to, and we now enjoy the R1R. We're the only pocket down there, if you look at the map. And that was thanks to Ginger. I never forgot that. She did care about us. And we would quite often, after, they were afternoon meetings in those days, the city council, and afterwards we would quite often get together over the Robin Hood, along with some of the other, Mr. Glendale, Parcher, and some of the other people, and enjoy a social time together. It was great days. It really was. We really enjoyed each other. And I would like to say, if you look at Ginger, I think that she was a terrific model for women, for young women. All you have to do is look at the group that we're here tonight representing the Relay for Life. And I know that a lot of them looked up to Ginger. And one young lady, Darlene Taylor in particular, was friendly with, very close, her mother, with Ginger. So when you look at these young women, that they had her to set the standards, that's why we have so many wonderful women in the city volunteering and what they do, working in our legal departments and so forth. I want to know about Spookorama. If I go to it, will they be passing out little bags of instant rolled oats or something for the seniors, instead of candy? Okay. I had to get that in. Now, there was an article in the news press by Sinfrini, and it was regarding to do with homeowners that Mr. Draymond, of course, only got on because of the homeowners and so forth and so what and whatnot. Okay, fine and dandy. Why would we vote for anybody that would be against homeowners? We'd be crazy, wouldn't we, to support anybody that wasn't in our favor. And remember this, he and Carol both served as president and vice president of the Adams Hill Homeowners Group, as did Gus Gomez. Members right here who helped us set up our bylaws and so forth, Mr. Yusefian, all served, and Ginger also, on the Glendale Coordinating Council.
And Chevy Chase.
And Chevy Chase. But what I'm saying is, we're all homeowners. We all care. And that's why it's not a crime, to have somebody that has our interest at heart, is it, to serve on the city council. And Mr. Weaver and Quintero also. So there we are. And again, Ginger was a terrific model. She had a great sense of humor. A couple of times I got a couple of pokes from her, but that was okay. We got along very well because we each knew where the other one stood. We didn't beat around the bush. But I do have to tell you, we do owe her a big vote of thanks in that. And the other thing I wanted to say, Mr. Kahn called me this week, and Rodney Kahn, and said that he was not involved in that group, the GPOA, whatever it was. Now, I did get my information from what I considered was a reliable source. I usually won't say things unless I know. And he admitted, as I said, it was Jason Wells. He admitted, yes, that he had told me that, but he got the information from Mr. Sinfrini. I said, oh, okay. Now that explains it somewhat. But I do want to say, if I was remiss in naming Mr. Kahn to that group, I'm very sorry. Then I do owe him an apology. And that's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy Hunt Coffey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I sort of feel like Leon and Jim did my work for me tonight. I just want to simply invite folks to the One Book, One City program. The first event will be next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, Central Library, with Juliet Suka, the author of When the Emperor Was Divine. The evening of November 8th, we'll be having a panel discussion about the Japanese internment with the author. And then on November 15th, we'll be having the One Book for Younger Readers program. It's a book called Weed Flower by an author named Cynthia Kotohata. She wrote a book also for younger readers about the Japanese internment. So we invite the younger folks in the city to come out that night and share the event with the author. And also to encourage people to participate in the Snapshot of Glendale program this Saturday. Please take pictures. We've been checking the weather obsessively, and it looks like it's going to be a great day. So I want to invite everyone to participate in that program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you take pictures of
Ms. Coffey,
spectacular?
would you kindly explain to the folks here in the chambers as well as at home exactly what is the Snapshot of Glendale?
Yes. The Snapshot of Glendale program is designed to encourage photographers who live or work in Glendale to take pictures of Glendale, icons, things that represent what Glendale mean to them. And then to submit those photos via the city website or on CD or in paper format. And those photographs will be judged by the City Council, and the selected photos will be included in a commemorative book. So the information about the program is on the website, and all of the specifications and how to participate and submit your photos is available online.
So, Nancy, by photographer, you mean anybody who can hold and shoot a camera?
Well, we want to have photos that are high enough quality that they are will be reproduced well in a book. So,
But amateur photographers are okay.
yeah, I wouldn't qualify, not being a particularly good photographer, but yes, amateur photographers, really anyone who can meet the specifications is encouraged to participate.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes the cards that I have received for oral communications. And what's the next item, please? Mr. Yusefian.
Mr. Mayor, I thought that Margaret may bring this up, actually, but I guess she kind of took the opportunity to talk about Ginger a little bit. But she did bring up the issue last week about one of our commissioners on design review. I took opportunity to go back and check that particular item and the comments that that individual made. I also took the opportunity to check with the city attorney to see who the appointing authority was. And since it happened to be Mr. Quintero and Mr. Manukian, since Mr. Manukian is no longer among us, I guess the chair was Mr. Quintero, so he is the appointing authority. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, still under even the new current rule, if there is an issue with some board member that's not functioning properly, there needs to be a meeting taken place between the council member who appointed that individual and the city attorney, city manager, and that council member. And I think it has to do with Mr. James basically saying to some individuals who attended the meeting that they had no business of coming to the meeting and speaking, which is contrary to what the facts are. Anybody, you could be in Timbuktu and can show up and speak under all communication, even in there. So, sorry, Margaret, I knew you were going to say it, but thank you for at least saying all the good stuff about Ginger. And not only she helped your area, she also downzoned the city in 1986, so it wasn't just your area.
Okay. Next item, please.
Mr. Mayor and Council, at 8 is action items, and at 8A is Acting Director of Finance regarding first quarter adjustments to the adopted 2000-2008 budget. 8A1 is resolution appropriating and amending the adopted 2007-2008 budget.
Mr. Starbird.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, let me ask Ron Allers, Interim Director of Finance, to give a brief report on this matter. Ron?
Mr. Mayor, you need a report?
I don't need a report.
Okay. I have read, Ron, I just want to say that, Mr. Mayor, I have read the report, and I will tell you that this is much, much better than what we had to deal with in the past. The amount is much smaller, and it's stuff that I would anticipate would take place, because when we adopted the budget at the time, we didn't have some of those information, so you're just basically plugging in the numbers. So I would say at this time the revenues are about $1.8 million, and the increases and decreases are about $3.156 million. So that's what I see in your grand total. So I'm assuming that's what the numbers are, which is far cry from $10 million we had last year. So kudos. Something has worked. And with that, I would like to move the item unless there's questions, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
If there's no discussion, let's take roll on 8A1.
Council members Draymond?
Yes.
Quintero? Weaver? Yusefian?
Aye.
Mayor Najarian?
Yes. Next item, please.
Thank you. At 8B is City Treasurer regarding quarterly investment review as of September 30th, 2007. At B1 is motion to note and file the report.
Mr. Yusefian.
I'd like to move 8B1 and say that Mr. Baruki is doing a good job. Our portfolio has gone up to a 4.24%. So, as usual, he's doing a good job, too. So,
Mr. Starboard.
Mr. Mayor, a quick notation in the news press article that covered this. I think as the reporter was reading the treasurer's report, he sort of got two paragraphs together and drew a conclusion. The statement was made in the news press that as a result of the subprime mortgage situation that Glendale had lost essentially $10 million on its investment portfolio. Actually, what Mr. Brookie pointed out in his report was that our portfolio had reduced from last year by about $10 million. That's not a loss. That's because we spend money on capital projects and the likes, and the portfolio will fluctuate. He then went on in a subsequent paragraph to talk about, in very general terms, the subprime mortgage situation and its impact generally on interest rates. There was no connection to the two, and in fact, his report pointed out that we actually had a gain on interest earnings over last year because of the rise in rates and his adjustment in our portfolio. So I did talk to the young gentleman reporter who indicated he'd make a correction, but I thought we'd point that out here this evening.
Yes, thank you, Jim. I also spoke with that young reporter because reporting a $10 million loss in the portfolio due to the subprime mortgage crisis, when Lord knows that would make headlines and not be one little agenda item in a TV guide feature that the news press does. By the way, it's a very nice effort to bring city government to the community. Unfortunately, in this area, the information was erroneous. But for the record, I wanted to come up, and certainly for the readers of the news press who were waiting for some explosive highlights from council, we have not lost $10 million. We haven't lost a dollar. And we certainly are not investing in asset-backed securities. So, I thank you.
Mr. Draymond.
Well, I'm only going to disagree with my colleague, Mr. Yusefian, in that I don't think that Ron is doing a good job. I think he's doing a great job. So,
Okay.
As well as so.
First Moses, now John Drain.
There you go. So, some in the city would tell you there's no difference, but
They read the same book.
But that aside, I would like to second this.
I take roll. There's no further compliments to Mr. Baruki. Roll call, please.
Council members Draymond,
Yes.
Quintero, Weaver, Yusefian,
Aye.
Mayor Najarian.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor and Council, is there any new business?
Yes, there is.
Just been handed this late-breaking bulletin. That's not my stomach you're hearing. I don't know where that's coming from.
It's mine.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to move that the Council of the City of Glendale hereby authorize City Attorney to institute legal proceeding against Oxford Sales, George Rosenfeld, Robert Emile Bistain, Bistain Brothers Body Shop, Jack Boyajian, and others to recover workers' compensation benefits paid to various City of Glendale employees injured in a vehicular accident occurring on November 30th, 2005, and to recover damages for repair and or replacement of the City of Glendale vehicle involved in said accident.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Council members Draymond,
Yes.
Quintero, Weaver, Yusefian,
Aye.
Mayor Najarian.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to adjourn this city council in memory of Ginger Bremberg, our four-time mayor.
Second. Sorry. Second.
We are adjourned in her memory.